Hello everyone, welcome. It is Thursday, April 7th, 2022, and I am here in Waco, Texas, where it is a sunny, beautiful, only 73-degree, delicious day. No humidity. It is a little bit breezy, but not as windy as it was yesterday. And I am broadcasting from the Suspension Bridge in Waco. I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of it for those of you that did not know. This bridge behind me, it's the Suspension Bridge in Waco. It was built in 1870, and it was the first, or the largest, I guess, suspension bridge built west of the Mississippi River. And this is back in 1870, and they built this bridge obviously to get across this river, which is called the Brazos River. The Brazos River means arms of God. How interesting is that? And when they built this bridge, prior to it being completed, sorry about the birds going going off here, but prior to this being built, the people that would come along with cattle that would take them from like south of here in Texas all the way up to like Kansas City and so forth, along the Chisholm Trail, is they would have to cross this river with their cattle, and they would inevitably lose like 20% of the cattle. They would like drown because it can be quite deep, and they couldn't swim all the way across, or they get stuck in the muck and so forth. So when they built this suspension bridge, they would take the cattle across. They would charge like 5 cents per head, and they were able to save 100% of their cattle. So how ironic is that? So this bridge built in 1870, so it's like 152 years old now. They are in the process of refurbishing it, restoring it. So it's kind of neat. The other thing I want to talk about is my wife and I took a tour on the Waco Tours company, and that Waco Tours company, it was a step of faith when they actually started it, and it was coinciding in large part with what Chip and Joanna Gaines did with the Fixer Upper show, how they were fixing up the homes here in Waco, and they started this tour company because a lot of people that come here because of wanting to see Magnolia, which is Chip and Joanna's big store, and they have Magnolia Table. They have a lot of different places here that are tied in. So what was interesting is when we get on the bus to go on this tour, the two men that were talking to us, one of them was a student at Baylor University. I believe he was a junior. And the other guy was like in his early 30s, just got married recently. And they prayed before we all left. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. You've never been on a tour bus where they prayed, and asking Jesus to protect us and so forth. And then they started to talk about how the city of Waco, the town of Waco, when it first was established, a lot of people would come here because they had these healing wells, these mineral springs and healing springs where people would come and they would get healed from some of their physical pains and so forth. And then those dried up. They also had a tornado here that wiped out a whole bunch of businesses, like, I don't know, 150 businesses back in May 11th, 1953. And a lot of the business people that had the homes here just left their homes because they couldn't make money here anymore because their businesses were gone. So that's why some of these homes are being fixed up by now the Gaines. And it's interesting because what does our ministry do? Restored to Freedom. We help to fix up people who have been hurt, who have been broken, so that they can forgive those who have hurt them, and forgive themselves and repent for their own sins and be able to change and be restored. So what was interesting was on this tour, one of the guys that was driving said that he attended Antioch Church, which is a local church here in Waco, a larger church. And afterwards I was able to talk to him, and let him know that there was a couple pastors, I don't know, about 12 of their people and leaders and so forth that are coming to our event that's going to be taking place at Acts Church on Friday and Saturday. So it's kind of neat how God is connecting the dots and being able to get more and more. I know that that church, Antioch, does believe in healing and deliverance, so it's exciting to see a lot of symbolism here in Waco. And if you are at all within the ability to get here for Friday night's service, it starts at 7 o'clock at Acts Church, hosted by Walking in Freedom. And then we have at 6 o'clock on Saturday, I'm doing a deliverance kind of a training where you can ask me questions, Q&A, explain to people this is how I do sessions. You can do the same thing yourself, go through it yourself, or you can go through it with your friends and family and get them healed from their wounds, so they don't have to talk about all the bad things that happened to them over and over again, or to remember all the bad things that happened to them over and over again. They're able to have peace in their lives and enjoy their lives and help other people get set free and delivered. Topic of the day, I'm talking about when people are doing evil things, they obviously want to appear to people that they're doing good. And so they have evil intentions and they're trying to appear good. But once their false narrative gets exposed to the truth, then they normally do one of two different things. And this applies to everybody. So, again, when a person has been hurt and wounded, then they're going to be hearing a lot of negative thoughts. A lot of those thoughts are coming from demonic spirits. And they will get those people to do bad things. Get them to pursue living a sinful life, struggling with addictions, feeling, in many cases, guilty and ashamed of what they've done. But then there's also a level of pride. The spirit of Leviathan in Job 41 talks all about Leviathan. Verse 34, it says it's king over the children of pride. So whenever we get hurt and wounded, we'll always get pride. So a lot of people think that all their decisions are the best. They hear a lot of negative thoughts, a lot of thoughts saying, you're a victim, poor you, these people should listen to you, don't let them control you, take advantage of you, you better tell them what to do. And so obviously spirits of Jezebel and Leviathan will coincide there, and they'll control other people, but they'll act like they're a victim. Poor, pitiful me. And then they'll do a lot of things that are not good, not healthy, get into a lot of addictive things. We talked about this yesterday: smoking, drinking, vaping, cussing, eating, overeating, being greedy with money, all kinds of things that are not healthy for them. And then there's corrupt things. There's corrupt people that are in the church, sadly. I was listening to a lady today, talking to a lady today, and she was saying how this man had hurt his wife, was being abusive to her, and then was already engaging in conversation with other women, other girls, and doing a lot of evil sexual things, and yet wanting to be blessed by people in the church. And then I guess the church was paying him, being on staff and so forth, and looking the other way. In Revelation, it talks about this. Revelation 2:18-23, the church of Thyatira, saying if you tolerate Jezebel, then he's not going to be happy. He says, I'm going to put Jezebel on a sickbed and kill her children, which Jezebel can be in men or women. The description of people that struggle with Jezebels are going to be very controlling. They're going to want their way, very selfish, very demanding, act like they're a victim, feel sorry for me, yet they treat people horribly if they don't do what they want. And they're normally in sexual sins, whether it's pornography, whether it's having sex outside of marriage, and so forth. So we also see people who obviously are in political positions within the world, within the United States and beyond, local, and there's people on school boards and so forth, that they're operating and living a life that is very sinful, very evil, very contrary to what God would want for them, and they're getting away with it. Well, I keep hearing more and more, and there's other prophetic people that are hearing that the Lord is saying, enough is enough. I'm going to expose all of this because you people are not repenting for your sin. You're not humbling yourself from the sins. You think you can keep getting away with this, and you can't. And so what I really believe we're going to see more of, and we've already seen some of this already, is that the Lord will expose the truth of how that person is living today. We're not talking about in the past. If a person's lived a sinful life in the past, they've repented for it, they've been delivered from that, and they're no longer operating in that, then you can't just bring up the past and say that's who you are, because that's not who they are anymore. They've changed. They've gotten healing and deliverance. And now they're using that stuff that they used to do and helping other people get healed and delivered from it. So, what I'm talking about is people today that are very prideful, very arrogant, thinking they can get away with anything, and they're in the church, they're in leadership positions, or they're in the political system, they're in local governments, they're in school systems, they're working in companies, they could be your family members, and they are being mean, they have a mean heart, they're being controlling, manipulative, they're lying, all the things that are not godly, and they think they can get away with it forever. So once the truth starts to come out about them, once their false narrative, they always want to have a false narrative of acting like they're a victim and please feel sorry for me and I'm so good and so godly, and then accusing other people of the things that they do. But once the truth starts to come out about them, they don't like that. The demons in them will rage, oftentimes cause them to scream and yell and go kind of crazy, because they don't want that truth to come out about who they really are, what they've really done. We see this too with what's going on today in the political system, trying to cover up, the media trying to cover up things that are the truth of a person. And so when that truth starts to get exposed in that person, then the person can do they normally do one of two different things. Is they either will lie more, which they tend to do mostly, lie more and deny more, trying to keep the truth from being received by people, because if enough people believe what the real truth is about the person has nowhere to go. They can continue to lie and deny it, but unfortunately they'll still continue to have demons attached to it, and they'll continue to get worse in their lives, and the Lord will eventually do what he needs to do, essentially, to expose all this stuff. Or they can humble themselves. That's the other thing, is they can humble themselves and admit the truth. And there are people that do that. There's a percentage of people that when the truth comes out about what they've said or done, they'll say, yep, that's true. And then they'll repent, and they'll ask for forgiveness. And they can go through deliverance at that point and get delivered and change. I deal with couples all the time where you have one person that struggles more with Jezebel, the other more with Ahab. The Jezebel tends to be more controlling, more demanding, more selfish, wanting their way, more prideful. They don't want to have come to light the truth of oftentimes how they treat their spouse and other people. They want to act like they're nice and sweet and godly and so forth. But when the truth starts to come out, they have one of two different things. They can either lie and deny, keep those demonic spirits, or they can humble themselves and admit the truth. And then they can get delivered, and then both husbands and wives can get delivered, and they can actually help other people, other husbands and wives, get set free and delivered. And it's a wonderful life then. It's a great life. I hear people often throughout the month, new people that have followed the ministry, and they're like, oh my gosh, I operated in Jezebel. I didn't know. The church didn't tell me that I could have demons. The church, in fact, told me I couldn't. So I did everything I could, going to doctors, psychologists, counselors. None of them told me the truth. None of them got to the spiritual roots. They all tried to self-medicate it, and taking this, taking that, or counsel. And you can't counsel out the demons. You have to take away their legal rights. You have to go through, find out how you got them through wounds, identify what the wounds are, forgive those who have hurt you, and forgive yourself if you've believed some lies that the demons have told you. When you expose the truth and you admit the truth, then you can get freed from that. And then your life will change, and it's a wonderful life after that. Again, you have to continue to walk it out, obviously. You can't just one and done and then go back to your life that you had before. You normally don't want to go back to that life that you had before. You want to enjoy freedom, and you have no problems talking about your struggles and being able to be freed from that. So ultimately, it's interesting when you do see people that have their false narrative exposed, You know, they'll go one of two different ways. They tend to go more to the, I'm gonna lie, and I'm gonna deny, and then try and get away with it so they can keep their image up instead of admitting the truth. It's much harder to admit the truth than it is to try to continue to live out that lie. But you'll see this on a lot of marriages that become a divorce, is the people that are unable to admit the truth. They will live in the lies, they will deny, they will keep their demons, and then they will end up going through a divorce. And then ultimately, if they have children, the children will see the truth. The children will know, all right, it was my dad or it was my mom that was the one that caused the most of the conflict in the family, and they were unable to get healed and get delivered to that. Yeah, listen to the bird, Tina Power says on YouTube. Yeah, they have, I know they have, what is it, mockingbirds and other birds that are very loud here in Texas. Today it is a windy day. It's winds are going to be around, I think, 20 miles an hour, gusting to like 35 to 40 in the afternoon. But it's nice to be here on a 73-degree day with no humidity and no clouds. And there are some people that are actually walking down here to the river front and enjoying. In fact, I saw a boat that came down here earlier, and when the boat came zooming through, there was a bunch of waves that came up on the shore here, and there were some ducks that are over here that are in the river. They have a river walk where you can walk beside the river, and just a few, I don't know, maybe a mile or two downstream here, they have what's called Lover's Leap, and this park called Cameron Park, that's over 400 acres, has a zoo there, and it sits up pretty high from the river, and you can see for, I don't know, 15 to 20 miles, something like that. So anyway, it's a beautiful day, and I, again, encourage all those of you that want to come out for our inner healing and deliverance. Again, it's a normal inner healing and deliverance. Nobody yells, nobody screams, nobody vomits, nobody does any weird things. They simply hear the truth, and the truth set them free. You know, when Jesus preached, he preached the truth. You know, and it's true. When you get hurt, you get wounded, you'll get demons. They'll torment your soul, which is your mind, your will, your emotions. And if you don't go back to get those wounds healed, then those demons will still operate in you your whole life. And that's why a lot of people that are in the church struggle. They don't have a life full of godliness and purity and righteousness. You know, they're selfish. They want their own way. They act like they're a victim their whole lives. They want you to feel sorry for them, you know, and they're miserable. And they want to make you miserable. And they're not able to speak life. And when you get healed and delivered, then you can laugh at yourself. You know, you can love on other people. You don't take an offense. So many people take an offense that are in the church. Oh my gosh, they didn't do this for me. They didn't do that for me. How dare they? And then you take an offense. Harumph, harumph, harumph. You know, and it's like, you got to be unoffendable. Don't take an offense over anything. Typically those people that try to, you know, do the things that hurt you and provoke you, because they're not delivered yet. So you have to give them grace and understand that. And if you are to confront someone, the Lord is going to have you, then you do it in love. You don't strive, you don't fight, you don't argue. And that's why the whole world needs healed and delivered. And they change. They actually have the fruit of the Spirit. Wouldn't that be cool? To have the fruit of the Spirit, to be loving and joyful and peaceful, patient, kind, good, gentle, self-control. And then you get to go on these adventures. Go for walks along the river, and go for hikes, and go for kayak rides and bikes. And then if you come along people that are hurting and they do things to you that would cause you to take an offense, you can excuse it. You can say, you know what, that person's not healed and delivered. That's why they do what they do. You know, and I could take a person through a personal session. I do about 4 or 5 a week. Inevitably, they end up learning that the people that hurt them were also hurt. Their father, their mother. Oh, there's a dove. Here, the dove, they have lots of doves in Texas, which is another cool thing, so. Alrighty, well, I will let you guys go, and up, hear the dove? That's a dove. They have lots of doves here that coo, and it's a beautiful thing. Love the doves. There it is again. So anyway, we'll see everybody on Friday night. That will be tomorrow night at 7 p.m. We're doing a breakthrough event where we take people through some soul wounds, we get them healed, command the demonic spirits to go. Lots of people came on Dallas and they were yawning. Yawn, 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 yawn. You know, the people that I do personal sessions with, they normally yawn or they burp, and that's the extent of the demonic manifestation. So you can handle a yawn or a burp, and you feel lighter, and you feel much better. So, all right, well, I'm gonna let everybody go. Gotta go to lunch, and go do some more sightseeing. So, see you guys later. Bye-bye.